Welcome to Lucky Fortune English Podcast. I'm Vincent, and today we're going to be trying something a little different. We're taking a deep dive into a 2025 Capricorn horoscope, specifically focusing on love and career. Just for you.
I'm Jenny, and I'm so excited to see what looks like a year of big decisions and major transformations for our listeners.
Yeah, this isn't like your typical, what to expect when horoscope. We're really trying to go beyond just the surface level and see how these planetary movements could actually play out in your life.
Right, and the source material keeps mentioning 2025 as this year of foundations.
Okay, foundations.
Okay.
So what exactly does that mean for a Capricorn like our listener?
Well, it's fascinating because we have Uranus, the planet of disruption and change, hanging out in Taurus, which is all about stability and security. And for the past few years, this energy has probably been shaking things up in your life, especially when we think about your values and what you find fulfilling.
So it's not just external changes, but also this internal shift in what's important to you.
Exactly. And now in 2025, it's about using that newfound clarity to build something new and solid. It's like you've been clearing the ground, and now you're ready to lay the foundation for a life that really reflects who you are now, not who you used to be.
This sounds like a pretty big change from that stereotypical Capricorn who's always, the responsible one, always playing it safe.
Absolutely. This year is about embracing challenges, taking risks, and yes, even the possibility of making mistakes.
Ooh, mistakes.
Yeah, which can be tough for a sign that really values structure and certainty, but it's where the real growth happens.
Yeah, I can see how that would be pretty daunting, but also kind of exciting to be able to step outside that comfort zone and see what you're actually capable of.
Definitely. And the source material highlights summer 2025 as a really crucial time for making those courageous decisions.
Summer 2025.
Okay.
Yeah. We've got this Saturn-Neptune opposition happening, which can be a bit of a reality check.
Okay. So Saturn is all about, discipline, responsibility. And Neptune can be about illusions and escapism. So what happens when those two clash? Things get real. Situations or relations that you thought were secure might be revealed in a totally new light. You might have to even let go of something you thought was a sure thing. But it's ultimately about aligning with your true needs, even if it means shaking things up a bit.
So it's not necessarily about things falling apart, but more about seeing things for what they truly are and then having the courage to make choices based on that new vision.
Precisely. It's a turning point, not a failure.
I like that. Okay, turning point, not a failure. I like that a lot. So speaking of turning points, let's dive into how all this plays out in your career.
All right, let's do it.
January seems like the month for setting intentions and making some strategic moves.
Yeah, it does.
So what's happening in the cosmic skies that makes January so important?
Well, from January 8th to the 28th, Mercury, the planet of communication and thinking, is in Capricorn.
Okay.
This is your time to strategize, explore career changes. Even if you don't take immediate action, it's about planting those seeds and giving them time to germinate.
I like that metaphor. Okay, so plant those seeds. But there's also this interesting note about Mars, the planet of action and energy, opposing Cancer, which rules home and family. Could that create some tension?
Absolutely. You might encounter some resistance from others, maybe even loved ones, who aren't quite on board with your potential changes.
Oh, that's interesting.
This is where that new Capricorn courage comes in, staying true to your path, even if it ruffles some feathers.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, so then we jump to May, and things really start to take shape. Mercury is in Taurus, which is a great sign for Capricorns because it emphasizes that practicality and getting things done.
Yes, and from May 10th to the 26th, you'll see some tangible progress on projects that you may have initiated back in January. It's a time to assert yourself, take ownership of your ideas, and embrace opportunities, even if they involve some uncertainty.
Now, there's this interesting detail about those who are maybe nearing retirement. The source specifically mentions carefully evaluating offers that extend your work life.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Yeah. Well, retirement can be a really tricky transition for a sign that thrives on accomplishment. Those offers might seem tempting, but this energy is about ensuring they align with your long-term goals.
So are they really what you want? Or are you kind of holding on to an old version of yourself?
That's the question to ask yourself.
Yeah. So even in retirement, there's this theme of building something new, not just clinging to the past.
Precisely.
I love that. Okay. And then we move into September with Mercury in a favorable position, again, this time from the 2nd to the 18th. It's a time to build new career connections. But you might encounter some pushback again.
Yeah, you might.
So this theme of stepping into your own power and maybe facing some resistance for it seems to be a recurring one throughout the year.
Yes. And here's what's fascinating. The source suggests that in September, you might be more willing to confront those who disapprove.
Oh, really?
You're prioritizing your own fulfillment over pleasing others, which is a huge step for a Capricorn.
Wow, that's bold, but it also sounds really empowering.
It is. It's about recognizing that your happiness and success are just as important as anyone else's.
Absolutely. So looking at the overall career picture for 2025, it seems like it's all about defining your role, not being afraid to step into the spotlight, and maybe even going solo for a while, if that's what it takes to achieve your goals.
Exactly. It's a year for Capricorns to really shine and show the world what they're capable of.
I love it.
Yeah.
But work isn't everything. So let's switch gears and talk about love. This year has some really fascinating things in store for your heart, too.
It does.
All right, so let's unpack that. What can our listener expect in the realm of love and relationships in 2025?
Well, we start the year with Venus, the planet of love and beauty, in Pisces during January and April.
Okay.
This is interesting because Pisces is all about, emotional depth and intuition, which can be a bit of a contrast to Capricorn's, practical, grounded nature.
Right, so how does that Piscean energy influence a Capricorn's approach to love?
Well, it kind of softens those edges a bit and encourages you to connect on more of a heart level, not just a logical one. You might find yourself drawn to partners who are more sensitive, more expressive, who challenge you to open up emotionally.
That sounds like a beautiful opportunity for growth,
Right.
especially with all this emphasis on, building a new foundation based on your authentic self.
Exactly. It's about integrating those different parts of yourself and not being afraid to show your vulnerability.
Mm-hmm.
And speaking of vulnerability, the source specifically mentions anxieties and hesitations for those who are coming out of a period of solitude.
Yeah, that makes sense. Putting yourself out there again can be scary, especially if you've been hurt in the past.
Absolutely. But the key here is to not let those fears hold you back. This year is about taking risks even in love. It's about trusting your instincts and allowing yourself to be open to new possibilities.
So taking it slow, being honest about your needs, and remembering that you're in control of the pace.
Good advice.
Then things shift as we move into June and July, with Venus entering Taurus, which is a much more comfortable energy for Capricorn.
Yes. This brings a sense of stability and grounding to relationships. For those who are already partnered, it's a time to strengthen that bond, perhaps through decisions that enhance security, like moving in together or even marriage.
Very Capricorn-like, making those practical commitments. But what about single Capricorns? Does this Venus in Taurus transit offer any hope for finding love?
Absolutely. June is highlighted as a particularly auspicious time for meeting someone special, someone who aligns with your desire for a solid, reliable partnership.
So keep your eyes open in June, single Capricorns.
Yes.
Love might be just around the corner.
Could be.
Now, as we head into September and October, Venus shifts into Virgo, which can bring a more analytical and discerning energy to relationships.
Yeah, you might find yourself asking more from your partner, wanting to involve them more in your work, or seeking their practical support in achieving your goals.
This is interesting because Capricorns are known for their independence. So how do they navigate this need for increased support from a partner without feeling like they're losing their autonomy?
It's about communication, expressing your needs clearly and honestly, and recognizing that asking for help isn't a sign of weakness. It can actually strengthen your bond and create a deeper sense of partnership.
Yeah, I like that. And for single Capricorns.
For single Capricorns, it's a time to be discerning about who you let into your life, avoiding those fleeting romances that don't offer anything substantial.
Quality over quantity.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
It makes sense with the overall theme of building a solid foundation for your future.
Yeah.
Then as we wrap up the year, December brings a special treat for Capricorns. Venus enters your sign.
Yes.
It's your love season.
Yeah.
A time to revitalize your love life. Prioritize joy and connection, especially after what might have been a demanding year of growth and change. So whether you're coupled up or flying solo, December is about celebrating love in all its forms. For those in a relationship, it's a chance to reconnect, rekindle that spark, and maybe even plan some romantic adventures.
Exactly. And for single Capricorns, keep an open mind and heart. This Venus transit could bring unexpected connections, perhaps through social gatherings or holiday festivities. You never know where love might find you.
All right, so we've covered the major love and career highlights, but I want to dig a bit deeper into some of the themes that run through this entire 2025 forecast for Capricorns. One that keeps popping up is this idea of letting go of the need to always be the responsible one.
Right. It's a significant shift for a sign that's known for its reliability and willingness to take charge.
Yeah, that's a big ask for a Capricorn.
Yeah.
So how does our listener navigate this without feeling like they're letting people down or shirking their responsibilities?
It's about setting healthy boundaries and prioritizing self-care. Remember, you can't pour from an empty cup. Taking care of your own needs allows you to show up more fully for others in a sustainable way.
Right, it's not selfish.
It's not. It's essential for your well-being and the health of your relationships.
So it's about finding that balance between being supportive and responsible, but also knowing when to step back and say no so you can protect your own energy and focus on your own goals.
Exactly. And this ties into another theme that emerges, becoming more comfortable with making mistakes.
Oh, mistakes. Again.
Yeah, Capricorns tend to strive for perfection, which can lead to a fear of failure.
This is where it gets really interesting for me, because how do you reconcile that Capricorn need for control with this idea of accepting imperfection?
Well, it's about recognizing that growth comes from stepping outside of your comfort zone and being willing to experiment. This year is about releasing that fear of failure and embracing the journey, even with its bumps along the way.
So instead of seeing those mistakes as setbacks, you view them as valuable learning experiences.
Precisely. It's about having a growth mindset. And this leads us to another important theme, becoming more comfortable with uncertainty.
Ooh, uncertainty. Now, this seems to be a recurring thread, especially in terms of career. It's like 2025 is nudging Capricorns to loosen their grip on the reins a bit and trust that things will work out even if they don't have all the answers up front.
Exactly. There might be opportunities that arise that don't fit that, typical Capricorn mold. It's about being open to possibilities that might feel unconventional or even risky.
So for our listener, how do they prepare for this potential shift towards embracing uncertainty? Any practical tips?
One thing that can be really helpful is to build a strong support system. Surround yourself with people who encourage you to step outside of your comfort zone and who can offer guidance and support when things feel a little shaky.
It's like having a team of cheerleaders who believe in your vision, even when you might doubt yourself.
Exactly.
That can make a huge difference.
Mm.
Okay, now let's shift gears and talk specifically about career, which seems to be a major focus for Capricorns in 2025.
Yeah, as we mentioned earlier, there are some significant career highlights sprinkled throughout the year, and there's this common thread running through them all. Defining your own role and not being afraid to step into the spotlight.
That sounds powerful.
Yeah,
It's like 2025 is the year Capricorns own their expertise and let their talents shine.
exactly. It's about recognizing your worth and not settling for anything less than what you deserve. This could mean pursuing a promotion, starting a business, or even making a complete career change. It's about taking control of your professional destiny and creating a path that truly aligns with your passions and your goals.
That's exciting. It sounds like there's so much potential for career growth and fulfillment, but the source also mentions the possibility of, going solo for a while. What does that mean for Capricorns who are used to working within, those established structures?
Well, it could mean embracing freelance and consulting or even starting your own venture. It's about stepping outside of those traditional boundaries and forging your own path.
So even if you choose to stay within a traditional work environment, it's still about advocating for yourself and making sure that your contributions are recognized and valued.
Exactly. It's about finding that sweet spot where your passions and talents align with your professional goals, whether you're working for someone else or for yourself. Now let's switch gears again and talk about the other major area highlighted in this horoscope, love and relationships.
Right, we touched on some of the specific transits earlier, but I'm curious to explore some of the broader themes that emerge around love for Capricorns in 2025. One thing that really stands out is this emphasis on experiencing emotional intensity.
Yeah, it's fascinating because Capricorns are often associated with practicality and logic.
Right.
So how does this focus on emotional depth play into their love life in 2025?
That's a great question. Because it's like you're being asked to embrace a whole new side of yourself, one that might feel a little unfamiliar or even uncomfortable at times.
It is a bit of a paradox, isn't it?
Like,
Capricorns, with their love of structure and planning, being asked to dive into the messy world of feelings.
right, exactly.
But this year, it's about finding that beautiful integration between your head and your heart, allowing yourself to be vulnerable, to experience the full spectrum of emotions that come with love, without needing to control or rationalize everything.
So it's not about becoming someone entirely different, but rather expanding your emotional range and allowing those feelings to deepen your connection with your partner.
Precisely. And this applies to single Capricorns too. It's about being open to connecting with people on a deeper level, not settling for those superficial interactions.
It sounds like 2025 is a year for Capricorns to embrace their full selves, both the practical, A&D, the passionate, and to allow those qualities to shine through in all areas of their lives.
Absolutely.
Right.
Now, before we move on to our key takeaways for the listener, there's one more thread I want to pull on that kind of weaves through this entire forecast.
Yeah.
Remember those moments where the source mentioned potential conflict, especially as you pursue your goals?
Yes, it seemed to come up quite a bit, both in career and relationships. What do you think that is?
Well, as you step into your power this year, define your worth and prioritize your needs. You might encounter resistance from those who are used to you being a certain way.
It's like you're disrupting the status quo, which can be uncomfortable for some people.
Exactly. But this year is about honoring your truth, even if it means ruffling a few feathers along the way. So the question for our listener is, how can you assert yourself effectively while maintaining healthy relationships?
It's a delicate balance, isn't it? Standing your ground while also being mindful of the other person's perspective.
Precisely. It requires clear communication, empathy, and a willingness to find solutions that work for everyone involved. Remember, conflict doesn't have to be a negative thing. It can actually be an opportunity for growth and deeper understanding.
So it's about seeing those disagreements as a chance to clarify boundaries, strengthen communication, and ultimately build stronger relationships.
Exactly. Now let's distill all these fascinating insights into some key takeaways for our listener as they head into 2025. The big picture here is that this is a year of building a new foundation. We see this reflected in both your career and your personal life.
It's like you're constructing a whole new framework for your life, one that's built on your own terms and aligned with your deepest desires.
Exactly. And a key part of this process involves embracing change, even if it feels a bit unsettling at times. This year is about stepping outside of your comfort zone and being open to new experiences and opportunities.
So it's not about resisting the shifts that are happening, but rather riding the wave of change and seeing where it takes you.
Precisely. Another key takeaway is this idea of defining your worth and not being afraid to claim what you deserve. This applies to both your career and your relationships.
It's about recognizing that you have valuable talents and skills to offer, and it's time to step into the spotlight and let those shine.
Exactly. And this ties into another important takeaway: prioritizing your own needs and fulfillment. This year is about putting yourself first and making choices that support your well-being both professionally and personally.
It's about recognizing that you can't pour from an empty cup. You need to take care of yourself first so you can show up fully for the people and things you care about.
Precisely. So as you navigate the twists and turns of 2025, remember to keep these key takeaways in mind. Embrace change, define your worth, prioritize yourself, and have the courage to create the life you truly desire.
This has been such a fascinating deep dive into the 2025 Capricorn horoscope. Thank you for joining us on this journey of astrological exploration.
It was a pleasure. We wish you all the best as you navigate the exciting possibilities that lie ahead.
And don't forget to subscribe to Lucky Fortune English Podcast for more insightful deep dives into all things fascinating. Subscribing to our channel will bring you good luck. See you again.